Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club Go hits. This is where the first of the kicks comes, and on this course this is a downhill start now, and we've got to watch all of the riders at the moment because this is about staying in the group. One rider who is riding a great steady pace ride is Faye Faber. Faye on the right of your screen, kicking out the watts, 236. She's been sitting consistently at 3.5 watts per kilo, pushing away. So here on MyWhoosh YouTube channel, we are at race number 2 of 3. This the second of our qualifying 3 races. Really at the moment just watching these riders coming through, but Van Heuling now into the last 300 metres. She's going to see the sights. So what we'll do, we're going to try and get Van Heuling in over the line. We'll try and drop back then and see what happens behind. You can see Golden Light is chasing, trying to close that gap down. Final kick, look at that heart rate, has gone through the roof. She's up at 174 beats per minute. The revs are down at 60. This is hurting, but she's putting in a phenomenal time. She's going to hit the line. She's going to have over 20 seconds as she comes through. Victory for Elizabeth Van Heuling. And Golden Light's going to come up to take second place as she hits the line. Great ride there by Golden Light, being followed then is Karuma Cafedo, who's going to come through with Brogan on her heels. How it's going to be? All so close is Cafedo, who gets it from. Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. My name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be putting words to all of the race action from qualifier number 3 of 3 here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club feed. We are bringing you all of the action from 3 very different races, but our teams who have dominated, well, Strong Girls Spartan Obstacles, Las Colombianas and the CM team in Category 1 are the teams to beat. However, we've got some very strong individual riders with Golden Light, a podium rider from last time, due to be back with us once again. Watch out for our Category 2 riders like Conan, who has been right up there time and time again, along with Julie Sanchez. Sanchez, a rider who's been in the top 3 at round number 1. She is a rider who could well be back in the mix once again for the Strong Women's Race team, riding in that Category 2, but riding like she's a complete professional. Watch out for Team Italy, Team Fitness, as well as the RT Cycle Zone ladies team, and of course Slam Bike Shop with 2 teams in the Category 2 races as well. So great racing from all of our women in Categories 1 and 2, and of course Category 3, well, they are our individual riders who haven't got that support of the team, so it's made up generally of individuals, and they're going to be in that blue MyWhoosh jersey. So gold jersey for Category 1, green for Category 2, blue for Category 3. The course today, very different to our previous 2 rounds, which have both finished on a mountaintop finish. Today it's quite the reverse. We start off with all of the hills packed into the first quarter. We then move from those really steep, sharp hills and the big climbs into the rolling terrain of the woodlands as we make our way in through towards kilometre 21 at just under 2/3 race distance. The final section, as you can see, has the least elevation, and it is incredibly quick. It does mean that as we run into the finish, we've got a very fast final few kilometres before we hit the last 200 metres, which are uphill for that final kicker into that checkered flag at 35 kilometre. Along the way, we have our 7 sectors from 1k right the way out to 5k in length, and they'll give us time checks as well as giving us a great idea of the composition of the group and who is making ground and who's losing ground. If you haven't watched the men's race yet, make sure you subscribe to my MyWhoosh YouTube channel and go back and watch the men's race after this, because you'll see exactly what we mean about seeing that chase. Watch, it's well worth some serious entertainment whilst you're loaded up. Of course, the Paris-Roubaix, which we've had the men's and women's races this weekend as well. We'll see if I actually can match it. Our riders are lined up down on the start line. We're at 36 seconds to go. Our riders on the turbo trainers, which magically will disappear out of the way, as you would expect on esports. These things are automated for us, so they will move out of the way, and then our riders will be away. Key here is making sure you get that heart rate right up there, that you're all ready to go from that line. The start is critical. Getting the power down is key. We have very, very fast riders with us today, and it will be a very different rider, I think, who is going to be able to take the win, because if we can get a group in towards the last third, well, then it's going to be frantic as they hit that line. So the riders up and away. We're just riding with Jackie Giuliano at the moment across the Luz Kimona. Our riders are pushing out from the start, and you can see in the gold that big mass of category 1 riders being chased here by Jenny Town, but right up at the front you can just see Golden Light, the rider who took second place in the qualifier last week. We'll be riding this week to ensure her spot in the finals, which we have next week. 2 out of 3 rides must be completed to qualify for the finals, and that means that the riders know that they need to get to the finish line today if they've only got 1 qualifier in already. The front group with Jasper right up there, Lisa Brummel up in the mix as well. Brummel just pushing on at the front, 4.5 watts per kilo nearly coming out here, and you can see this really frantic chase out from the line is on. Everybody wants to be right up in that group, and if you haven't got a fast start, you can be left chasing for a long time. Fortunately, a lot of riders out on the pack, but at the front, you can see these riders that are working very, very quick. Interesting to see that Andrea Zet in the mix there. Andrea, one of those riders that we could know can mix it up with the very fastest. Will she be the rider who is going to take this away? The riders who have a good sprint finish will be looking to hang on in the groups. The riders who don't have a sprint finish, they've got to get the power down early and open up those gaps. So at the moment, we're just in with Lisa Brummel just pushing onwards here. And Lisa Brummel, a rider riding for the Strong Girls team, a 9th in qualification round number 2 last week. Last time we were out on this same course, it was the finish of the qualifications into the finals. It was a very final race, which has all of the big prize money, and she took away a 4th spot on this course, so clearly going to be feeling strong. Interesting to see that we've got Faith Faber in that leading group on the left-hand side. She was in the position that we see Mandana on the right-hand side of the screen there. Faith Faber last time had a slow start, had to work her way up through the race field. Go back, watch that. That's also on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Faith Faber, though, looking to be in from the gun and could well be the rider to beat if her power and speed on the flatlands that we saw last week are anything to go by. Is it going to be a marker put down by Faith Faber today, who's on the front of this group? You can see that this group are moving very quickly, 47 kilometers an hour. I've just seen it on the clock on the left-hand side. They're on that descent. Slight rise on the right-hand side as the chasers try to close that gap down. So riders in Category 1, Category 2, and Category 3 all out on the course simultaneously. All are riding on their smart turbo trains and pushing their way up. So trying to get into this leading group. The chase behind, we were just with Mandana Degani Mashandi. At the moment, currently sitting in 23rd place of the 33, just trying to get into that group in front. And you really want to be in the draft. Key to being in that draft, jump onto the pack. You can see your numbers at the moment are in black. The watts top left-hand side of your screen. As you look up there, you can just see top left-hand side, those watts at 300 watts at the moment. Now, come on, Mandana, this is the time to push. You need to be into those wheels. Once you're in the wheels and you're sheltering, you're going to see those numbers go green. And when they're green, you are saving energy. And as we have seen time and time again, it's not about who puts out the most power, it's about who saves that energy for when they need them. Back with the leading bunch on the left-hand side of your screen. Looks like this group really has condensed into forming a who's who of racing, with Jenny Sanchez, a podium rider. We have, of course, in here, Catherine Fiora, who took the win in our last final. a month ago, and this very same course, the previous winner on this course, and Catherine Fuhr from Switzerland, one of the real quick riders. We are expecting to see her in at the kill, in at the finish, but will she be able to hold off Golden Light, who showed just how strong she was last time? Gemma Brogan in the mix as well. But it is a depleted team for the Spartan Obstacles, with Catherine Fuhr and Gemma Brogan the only two representatives. I think that is because the other teammates have all already qualified right in round 1 and round 2. I think Brogan and, of course, Fuhr want this course. This is a great fast finishing course and a great course to race on, because after this fast, hard start, you can see the gradient 5.5%. It then rolls out flatter and flatter as we go through the course, and that is going to make things interesting as we go on. So the leading group of 7 riders go through, being chased by Barragan and Lustri go through. So Jasper and Rosalina chasing the 7 leading riders: Jenny Sanchez, Golden Light, Faye Faber, Gemma Brogan, Catherine Fuhr, Lisa Brommel, and Andrea Alzate, the CM team rider, taking the fastest jersey on the way through. Will she be the rider who can take a top spot? Her best place so far in the first 2 qualifiers was a 19th place overall, but will she be able to push that onwards as we watch the roads come in behind? Group number 3 on the road is Santiago, Girardo, and Bauer, and we expect Bauer to be in that fight for a good top 15, if not top 20 place. So back to the action with our leading riders. Brommel on the front. The white cap is the cap on top of Golden Light, just pushing over the top and going up into the lead. Faber doing plenty of work. So is Fuhr, so is Brogan, so is Alzate, so is Sanchez. They want to stay clear of the Barragan duo behind. Then a little further back, the chasing pack is moving. Interested to see Kokona, maybe not on the form that she's been on previously. She's not been out of the top 3 in the Category 2 riders. And Kokona, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, the top 3 riders in Category 2 has been the same in qualifier number 1 and qualifier number 2, and all 3 riders are back with us again. Julie Sanchez has been the fastest Category 1 rider both times. Kokona on your screens at the moment has been the fastest, second fastest Category 2 rider. So she's always taken second place in qualifier 1 and qualifier 2. Then in third place in both of our previous qualifiers, it was Leslie and Cordera for the Slam Bike Shop. Now, all 3 riders are riding again. Are we going to see a repeat of that? Well, we'll have to wait to see just what happens as we go in the previous 2 races. We said previously, very similar. Starting off a bit bumpy, moving into a flatter midsection, then big climb to finish. Very different climbs from race 1 to race 2. Race 1 up the Herbal Hafit, a climb that had a long, steady gradient. Qualification number 2, steep, sharp climbs. Now, Fiona Schroeder on your screens, right-hand side. Schroeder, another of our fast riders. She came in 16th place last time we were on this course. A rider who clearly likes that pace and the speed and the finish. But Fiona Schroeder, at the moment, sitting in 32nd place and looking to push her way back into the mix. You can just see at the moment, I think maybe a technical issue on the start for Fiona Schroeder. Currently having covered 2.5 kilometers, so she's got some ground to make up. But Schroeder, the last rider out from those pens, and that could well be a technical issue, but she needs to make sure she rides to qualify. So remember, the riders needing to qualify, they do need to make sure that they measure the power on the way through, and that is what gives us the speed on the game, and it gives them the pace. As our left-hand screen just dropping back across to our race leaders as they go in and through. So Faye Faber leading up this section of climb, 4.5 watts per kilo, and you can see the damage is being done. Looks like Andrea Zeta, the only rider who can stay with her at the moment, is 3 seconds back behind these riders to Brogan, who is chasing it hard here. We're only just coming in to the start of the sprint line here, but at what will be 5 kilometers into the course, it is basically a very big, long climb with the odd little ripple on the way through, a slight drop. So it's about getting the pace down, getting the power down, and getting that climbing legs engaged, trying to maximize the speed that you can on the way through. Use these slight dips to be able to power you back up into the rise, just up above Lisa Bromwell at the moment. Big numbers at the moment there at black. That means she's not in the draft. She'll click through the draft fairly shortly, I suspect, as we come through. But at the moment, not tucked into the tail of a rider consistently enough to engage the draft. Now we're seeing those numbers in green, but very quickly they're flicking around, and that is because this pack is dynamic. It's really responsive. It's moving just as you would see out on the roads, as you'd see on the velodrome boards if you're watching a pack come in and around. And Faber once again moves on to the front now. Faber, Lisa Bromwell, Andrea Elzate, Golden Light often on the front here, doing a lot of work. Faber once again just stretching her legs here and gets the others in trouble. The response comes from Elzate, having got to nearly 5 watts per kilo. Now another quick kick goes. So you can just see that look like a counter attack by Elzate, just going in through there. Fiora quickly on the heels. She doesn't want to let any gaps go on this course, and the different terrains, the different ways that the courses are made will suit different riders. Some people are great from the gun, they need to recover, then are able to kick again. Other riders need a really steady build up. Other riders, well, they can just go non-stop. So coming up to the end of checkpoint number 2, this is our second sector. This from 5 to 6 kilometers. Who's going to take the fastest time through here? Remember, this group are making the way in. Here we go. Look at this, our 7 riders through. That time round, it was Catherine Fiora who goes through. And the gaps are just opening. Golden Light losing a little bit of ground on there, going to 3.5 seconds through, but essentially one group. But the group is definitely spread out. Interesting to see Lisa Bromwell putting out 4 watts per kilo, 4.3 from Golden Light on the way through there, and a heart rate of 170. And that is a big, big number at this stage in the race. So 7 riders through. Fiora, Bromwell, Faber, Sanchez, Elzate, Brogan, and Light are our top 7 riders. The Strong Girls team with 2 riders in the leading group. Spartan Obstacles with 2 riders in the group. But the Strong Girls team could take away the team win here, which Spartan Obstacles cannot. And that is because Spartan Obstacles only have the 2 riders, but both those riders in the leading pack. So you can see the gap has opened up. Faber continuing to push her way up on this slope, and the gap behind, well, it's only a matter of fractions of a second. Brogan, Sanchez, and co all chasing these leaders, and at the moment, I think they're going to come over the crest here at 6.8k. And that is going to mean that they've got part of this climb complete. You can just see the climb kicking on up, and Faber at the moment with that gap, nobody seems to want to consistently work on the front and do the hard work. It means that Faber is able to open another gap, open up the pace, open up the group, and that is going to do some serious damage behind. She's on 3.5%. A little further back down at the base of the slope, right hand side, you see Jojo Bauer at the moment. Jojo continuing to push, continuing to keep those gaps down. The Las Colombianas are having a good ride once again. The Las Colombianas teams with Taconis, Barragan, Gerardo, and Bauer, all represented in this race. And at the moment, looks to me like us in with Bauer in this group. And that means the teammates can work together. That will help every single time, along with Sora Geraldo. So the riders are working hard together. The group on the right-hand screen are a little bit more cohesive, I think, as they're trying to close down the gaps here. So just riding in with Sora Geraldo, and looks like Rosalina Barragan at the moment just having a little bit of a gap. So Rosalina just keeping the revs high, 96 her pedal cadence. That's the revs she's kicking out, 150 beats per minute. And you can see as we look back at Rosalina, she has that gap at the moment of 9 seconds back. That is going to tick as they go over the top, and as she goes over the crest, she'll be able to accelerate and get a little bit of a gap. Now up with the leaders. Faber continues to push. Golden Light in second place. Light will be looking to take victory here today. She got second last time out. Will she be able to take top spot? It's pretty frantic back there as we come to the top of the climb. We're at 7.6 kilometers. We're going to go a level out until about 8.1 when it starts to kick back down a hill, and we have about 1.2k of descent coming up for the riders. So over the bridge they go. Remember, this group are chasing hard. Fura in the chasing group in the blue. The sole leader is Faber, but this is where having a group has the advantage. It allows this group to take advantage of that breeze, and at the moment they're closing in on the back wheel of Faber. Now, Faber, if she wants to go clear, she will need to take some riders with her. The group are looking pretty consistently together as we hit the next of our segments. So coming up to the crest here, and then we're going to go in to the descent. So 8K, 8.1 kicks in as we go down on to the descent. Faber looking good, but here we are. This is our drop down now, going into sector 3, dropping down the hillside. It's a very quick downhill, 2.6, 2.3 the percentage, and that has meant the speed picks up very quickly indeed. We're not going to kick it up until we go in to the 9.3, okay, and then we have another kicker coming in. It's still downhill for our leaders, only about 1%, but it's enough. Just taking a look, it looks like Andrea Alzate just in trouble a little bit there, just moving her way back up in the green jersey, and the pace on the downhill can be telling. If you're a lightweight rider, you're going to do well on the uphill sections, but on the downhill you can be in trouble. And now Andrea Alzate has to respond. The group in front is made up of Category 1 riders. Andrea Alzate has to push on here. She wants to be in there. She's a Category 1 rider. She's more than capable of holding her own in that group. At the moment, just distance back off out from that leading group. Meanwhile, Faber is going to be in the hunt here, but you can see Catherine Fura wants to get a fast time through here. This group are now working. They're looking to drop the riders who were in trouble. Barragan has gone back. She's been absorbed in the Giraldo group as they go through. It's now 6 riders who came through together, and that is Brummel, Light, Fura, Faber, Sanchez, and Brogan. Then it's Alzate coming through behind, and the time is telling through that sector, because in that 1 kilometer sector of sector number 3, the leaders came through within 1.4 seconds of each other. However, Alzate lost 12 seconds there on the way through. 12 seconds for Alzate. That is the loss from the riders from 6th down to 7th place, and that will be telling the chasers just coming into that sector behind them. So our leaders looking good as we go through sector number 3. One more to come in that first third of the course. And the race leader, Fura, Faber, Brummel, Sanchez, Brogan, and Light have the gap now on Alzate. That's at 25 seconds, and I think the wheels have come off the wagon for Alzate at the moment. And it looks like she's going to be struggling to get back in. She needs to find the next group coming through and jump on that. Our leaders, though, looking good. So, Sora Giraldo in here with Rosalina Barron, and it looks like Laura Lagonis are working on the right of your screen. They are Group 2, sandwiched between Group 2 and number 1. The jam in the middle of the sandwich is going to be Andrea Alzate, and you can see Laura Taconis, a rider who has taken hilltop of victories before, really working hard in this group. She was 16th the last time out on a hill that she had won on previously. This time around in the second of those groups, currently sitting in that group, who are racing at the moment for 9th, 10th and 11th places out on the course. So it's going to be interesting to see who can profit from this. Will they pick up Alzate on the way through, and will she be able to hold on to the wheels? The leaders, though, are absolutely motoring. They are now on the drag that takes them through the 10K marker. And it is pretty much level until they hit that 11-kilometer mark, when we have a very steep 700-meter downhill. And that will drop them downhill to the 11.7k marker. So coming up soon will be that little bit of a descent, another 600 meters or so before they drop down those 600 meters. So well, they are uphill. So it's about holding on. As you go over the top, that's when things get very tricky indeed. So currently making our way through. Remember, these sectors tell us exactly where those splits are. Our countryside sprint number 4, sector number 4, the next one coming up, that's 11, right the way through to 12k. This is essentially 700 meters of downhill. And then when we hit the bottom, it goes quickly back up again to the 13.4k. So number 4 is the downhill. It starts at 11k. The riders will see that gantry. They can just see it on the left-hand side of the screen with the banner over the top. Right-hand side of the screen, the chasers, but you see the leaders coming in to the start of number 4. And if you have a little bit of a gap going over the top, you're going to be able to open that up now. It looks to me like Jenny Sanchez and Gemma Brogan just being distanced a little here. The power of Faber over the top of the hill has opened a gap. Now, Golden Light has seen this. She's gone up to Faber. Fura is a little further back. Brommel is pushing to get back in with those leaders. Have they managed to distance Sanchez here and Brogan, because they are the riders who are going to be in trouble? They had a little bit of a gap to make up. We have 4 leaders. How far back is that gap? Oh, look at this. This is where things get very interesting indeed. We're on the descent. The pace is hot. We're at 43k of pH, and you can see in that shot the gap has opened to Brogan. Sanchez is at 4 seconds back. They have had to make some ground up here. We're just riding with Jenny Sanchez on the right of your screen. Our leaders on the left. This fantastic split view, because we are riding on MyWhoosh here on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. The Sunday Race Club bringing you all of the action and a great racing all the way through the year. And Faber, after having to chase on in the previous qualification round, is making this a hard race for everybody else. Fura's out of the saddle behind her, chasing as they come up on this kicker. This is a downhill descent in, then a kick up the hill. Faber in 1, Fura in 2, and they're breaking this group behind. Brommel and Sanchez have been chasing to get back on again. Sanchez is still distant, but you can see the splits are opening up. The fissures have been formed, and behind everybody wants to be back in the wheels once again. This is doing damage to the legs. Now, this might not hold all the way out to the finish, but you can see as these gaps come in, the differences in time. Brogan, Fura, Faber flying through there. Then it was Light. Sanchez being chased by Brommel. The first 6 riders are through, but from front to back in that group, coming through, you have about a 7-second split, 4 seconds of difference in time between the fastest and the slowest of the top 6 riders, 4.549. Lisa Brommel, the strong girls, was given away to Gemma Brogan, who clearly is on form once again. And look at those Spartan obstacles, 2 at the top. So now we move on to our next sector. We've just moved through from that really hilly first section into what is a more rolling road second section. Faber, Fura, and Brogan now have a gap. If these 3 riders continue to push, it looks like they've got about 8 to 10 seconds on Brommel, Light, and Sanchez behind. I think there's a big gap starting to open up. And these 3 riders, it's 3 against 3. And that means it's very evenly matched in terms of the draft. No one has a massive advantage. And Brogan at the moment having to answer the power of Faber and Fura. She's got to be careful. She won't want to expend too much energy, but she will want to keep these 3 riders clear. The riders behind, if the riders behind catch them, they will want them to have worked really, really hard indeed. You can just see them behind. It's 9 seconds showing on the clock. Brommel and Sanchez are in there. At the moment, Golden Light is the rider who is distanced at the very back here. So the rider who's in second place out of the back of the group at the moment. The chasers behind, well, it's Sanchez on the right of your screen with Brommel just in front in the green. However, the leaders are in front. You can see them in front, and that is going to be hurting. We've got both views back from the leaders back to the chasers and from the chasers up to the front. And both sets of riders are piling on the hurt at the moment. This is going to be telling. This is a real indicator of who is feeling strong, and Faber is looking phenomenal. Fura answers her, though, with no messing about. Her teammate in the group is Brogan, and it is Faber in there riding for the strong girls team, but she has two Spartan obstacles with her in the shape of Catherine Fura and Gemma Brogan, and that leaves Faber at a distinct disadvantage in terms of numerical superiority, which lies with the two Spartan obstacle riders, but they have got a fight on their hands, and they're going to need all that Spartan willpower and that fearsome historical fighting spirit to take on the rider at the front, because Faye Faber is looking very, very strong today. Behind, Sanchez is working with Brummel, but that gap is starting to stretch. Now, once that gap opens up, they have the disadvantage. There are three leaders. These are our two chasers. And because of that, they are having to work harder. The three riders get the advantage over the two riders behind. That is just simple physics, and that's exactly what is being put into play here on MyWhoosh. So Brogan's chasing a group. Behind her, it is the riders who are trying to challenge Sanchez and Brummel, but Brogan at the lead group with Fura and Faber. What a ride by these three. They have gone clear with 14k in. This would have been very easy to leave it to a sprint at the end if you were feeling strong, but clearly Faber, Brogan, and Fura want to whittle the numbers down a little bit further back. Our rider who set off in last place, Fiona Schroeder, has managed to pull through a number of these places. She's moved up from 32nd into 26th position. And Fiona Schroeder is starting to work her way up through the pack. We see this one. Riders have issues on the start line. It happens just the same whether you're on a time trial, a road race, a track race. Start gates don't open. Had that. Got your shoes. Done that one as well. Turned up late because your watch didn't work properly. Not done that one. Just couldn't get out of bed. Turned up late because the traffic was bad. Done that one too. At least when you are riding and you are riding in the e-cycling, there's less of those outside influences. It is all down to tech generally, and with the speed that you can get that up and running. You have a problem on that start line, you've got to chase back, and that's exactly what we're seeing behind. But the leaders are motoring at the moment. 15k on the clock. They're going through the checkpoint, and this is where we see the speed difference between Group 1 and Group 2. Group 1 come through. Look at that, less than 1 second between these riders. Faber, Fura, and Brogan go through. The chase is on. Now comes Sanchez. Now comes Brummel. What time can they post on the screen that's going to come up? It is, look at that, 4 seconds slower through that 1 kilometer mark, and we still have 20k still to go. And it shows you the damage that is being done by those leading 3 riders altogether. Now, Golden Light putting in a storming performance on round number 2, taking away that second place spot. At the moment, Golden Light, though, from the United Arab Emirates, having to push and giving away 15 seconds there. You can see the watts numbers are down. You can see that in terms of watts per kilo, it's a respectable number. 3.4 watts per kilo is a good number. The heart rate were right up there, 155, so working hard. Interestingly, Gemma Brogan's heart rate, 131. Her watts, 172. 2.7 watts per kilo. She is the rider who is sitting in the shelter the most. She's doing the least work and has got the third fastest time because she's in that leading group behind Sanchez and Brummel, and Light have their work cut out now to catch up with Faye Faber, who we jump back in with here, coming up to the fountains, up to the waterfalls as they come in through, and it's going to be a big ask for anybody behind now. Just seeing Mandana Mashandi go through, being chased by Maria Sanguid, and I think it's not going to be too long before she could well see Fiona Schroeder chasing behind. She's coming up to that 10-kilometer marker. Schroeder chasing, and Schroeder 10.3. So Schroeder really working well. Look at this, she's 25th place. And these places keep on getting knocked off as she keeps on making her way up. But she's at 10.4k. Our leaders are at 16.2. And that means she knows she's got her work cut out. She's not going to get up to these. What she can do is chase hard enough to get that gap back down again. So 21st place for Mandana, and she's continuing to push our leaders. The three riders are still together, still Faber, Fura, and Brogan. They are leading this out with Sanchez and Brummel behind. And I think a little bit of a split here to Brogan. Is it the case that Faber has managed to break Brogan out of this and leave it as a 1v1? So remember, Fura and Brogan, teammates, the work being done by Faber. Behind then is Sanchez and Brummel. Behind him is Golden Light. You can just see Gemma Brogan really is having to work here. Look at that heart rate at 150, 151, kicking out the watts, 152, that heartbeat, 95 revs per minute. So Gemma Brogan has to push here. She needs to get into the slipstream. Her numbers are in the black. That means she's not getting drafted. The moment those numbers go green, she's in the draft. She wasn't working the hardest up to this point. Now, what she needs to do is just sit in and not work too hard, do nothing. As she gets in there, she eases a little bit, maybe a little bit too much, has to kick out again, another 6.6. She's just trying to feather that power, just like you would do the clutch, just to get onto the slipstream, but not work too hard. And at the moment, not hitting those numbers. Now she's going to roll in a little bit of pace here. So just trying to get that pace right. And she's just sitting behind them. And those numbers are going to go green any second. She just gets that positioning just right. Just like you would find out on the road. If you leave too big a gap, those numbers won't go green. You see on the right-hand side, Jenny Sanchez took nicely and stably in behind a Brummel. Brummel on the front, her numbers are black. But if that gap opens, then you can be in trouble. And this is part of riding the discipline. You have to get it just right. Sanchez absolutely nailing it, getting it green. Brogan has to get this fine-tuned. Look at the difference in numbers on those two screens. You can see plenty more green coming from Sanchez and Brummel. They are sitting in those wheels. They're working well together. Brogan is yo-yoing a lot more in and out, and that means she's having to work hard. It could be she's absolutely on the limit. And you've got to remember, everybody's physiology is different. So my heart rate will go up quite a lot, quite high. It's just works really quite high. It will drop down relatively low. Somebody else might start off much lower than mine, but not go anywhere near as high. And then you might have somebody else who starts incredibly low, goes very, very high indeed, but yo-yos up and down. It is very dependent. It's dependent on your fitness, your age, and just your genetic makeup. And that is what we love about this. We bring all these different riders from all these different builds, shapes, sizes, disciplines. Jump on to the bike, get down in that pain cave, get the fans rolling, make sure that you're staying out of the heat, out of the cold, get yourself a really nice, stable area to work in, get that screen up, and then ride. And everybody from around the globe racing against each other, against lots of different types of riders. We can see we've got Faber and Fura from the UK and from Switzerland. They've got Brogan in there as well. Sanchez is not all that far behind. And I think the Colombian will be chased by Brummel, who is riding for Germany. Then we've got Golden Light, who is the rider behind. And she's riding, of course, for the United Arab Emirates. And Golden Light at the moment continuing to push here. So was in the leading group. Really suited to those big climbs, absolutely flew up the slopes in pursuit of Elizabeth Van Heuling, the winner of both round 1 and round 2, sitting out this round. However, at the very front, Faber, Brogan, Fura, the leading trio, are now making the way along this section. 18.6k covered. So we are coming in to the halfway mark. However, this is going to be very interesting because the course starts to flatten out. We lose the elevation rise and fall. And when that starts to happen, that is when it pays not just to be strong, but to have plenty of people doing the work. So we are now making our way out. We're at 18.9. We're going to hit the Queen of the Jungle marker at 19 kilometers. This is a 5K marker. And here we go. So a 5K sector coming up. This will give us a really good indication of how people are riding. We're going to hit this at 19K, and this will continue right the way through to 24K. Yes, I did my maths. And it will bring us out. Basically, this is a very gradual uphill climb as our riders make the way up here. They've got to get this absolutely right. And Faber again, look at this. She's gone back on again. She's putting Fura in trouble here. And Fura and Brogan, the two teammates behind, have got to find something to do about Faber. Faber is in there. They're going to need to talk to each other. The riders often talking on something like Discord, which is a way of basically having a mass group phone call. And if you can talk to your teammates, then it could well be that Fura and Brogan are saying, well, Brogan's good. I'm not good at the minute. I can't get her on the climbs. And Fura said, I can do the climbs, but I can't keep her on the downhill, or vice versa. Or I'm feeling good today. I'll do some work. Or I'm feeling really good today. You do the work and let me take the win. And it all depends. And remember, of course, there are team honours at stake here as well. The riders want to take top spot, but Faber, looking strong, has teammates with Lisa Brommel, her teammate, not that far behind. Then it's Mandana Degan and Fiona Schroeder. The riders just about coming together behind, but Brommel, the teammate of Faber in Group 2. So remember, these riders riding for the Strong Girls squad have a rider in Group 1. They have a rider in Group 2. They also have chasing riders behind, and that is going to be critical. The Las Colombianas have got riders right up in the second chasing group, riders, but not in the leader or the first chasing group. So they're back in group number 3, and that means Las Colombianas could be in with the fight. Also right in the mix are the CM team as well for the Category 1 honours. And it is something for your confidence. It really is important to put a good marker down. You can just see a Fura trying to hold on to the teammate of Mandana Degamashandi, who has a company. Schroeder is not that far behind. And you can just see here, she comes. Fiona Schroeder on the right-hand side of your screen is chasing her teammate in front. At the moment, that gap is 19, 20 seconds or so. So Fiona Schroeder really is making up ground up to 23rd after starting a plumb last on the race. She's not dropped out. She's put her foot down. Going over the top there, it looks like Mary Joyce Coking just behind Coking. 32nd last time out, 22nd last time we were on this course in the finals. So Schroeder has her teammate in front, and then it's going to be Maria Seguid. Maria just in front, looking to get Maria back into her sights as well as she can do that. That's another rider that she can tick off, that she keeps on closing down. The more riders you can pull down. Seguid was 26th in the finals for the Slam Bike Squad, just in front. Then it was going to be Elvira Wilhelm riding for the Team Italy. She's up the road a little bit more distance along with Sylvia Coloni, her teammate. So Elvira Wilhelm and Sylvia Coloni, the two Team Italy riders in front. They are targets for the chasers. Here's Coloni. Coloni has about 1 minute 12 on a teammate. In front is Maria Santiago. So at the moment, the Team Italy rider really are pushing on. Then it's Santiago in front. So Maria Santiago looking good at the moment. 60 revs per minute, though. That is a real big strength session. If you compare that across to Catherine Fura, 98 revs per minute. And if you are pushing low revs, you're using a lot of muscle power. You're really doing a big session on your legs. I always say, if your legs hurt, you're pushing really hard. If your lungs hurt, you're pedaling really smoothly. And if they both hurt, you get it just right, because that's kind of where you've got to be at this point. Now, coming up to the checkpoints of sprint number 5. Remember, the fastest time through here, a 1 minute 27. So the fastest time, 1:27 through that sector. And at the moment, Catherine Fura, along with Faith Faber and Gemma Brogan, look like they're about to come out of the sectors and head out from the jungle, out from the ancient forest, and get into the tunnels. It's going uphill steeply. Guess what? Faith Faber's going for it again. Now, I tell you something, I think she must have different gravity wherever Faye is riding at the moment. That UK rider at the moment is clearly making her way up those hills. But look at Fura respond to this. She's not hanging around. She wasn't letting that gap open up by any stretch of the imagination. So going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Brogan right in the mix. And now we're into the flatter section of the course. Not too much in the way of hills on the way through now. Our leaders at 21.9 now, 22k. So they have about 500 or so meters on Brummel and Sanchez. Those 500 meters are going to tell. It is a substantial amount of time, and that is not a gap that is going to come back. Golden Light continuing to lose ground on the race leaders. So are we going to see Brummel and Sanchez close it down? Sanchez has been so strong on this route here today, riding as an individual Cat 1 rider alongside Brummel. The pair of them, though, looking very, very quick indeed, but they can't match Faber, Fura, and Brogan. And once again, Faber is the rider being left to do the work. I think if I was Faber, I'd be sitting there and just saying, well, knock yourselves out. You've got two teammates. One of you can get on with the work. I'll sit in and hide. But Faber not doing that. She's sitting and working. And at the moment, it's Faber who is really winding it out. She doesn't need to help these two riders. The onus really on the two riders who have a teammate on board to put the work in. It's not happening at the moment. We're on this descent now, and Faber again winding it up. Some riders that do just like to be able to put the power down and to just really make it hard all the way through. And that could well be Faber's strategy again, and pushes on here. The moment that pace drops, she's very quickly picking that pace back up again. Brummel behind and Sanchez. And remember, Brummel is a teammate of Faber. It's not in the interest of the two riders of Brogan and Fura for the teammate to come back, that's for sure. So Catherine Fura, Lisa Brummel, Faye Faber going through. Then Sanchez and Brummel are working. The gang are looking very strong. Golden Light, our fifth rider out on the course at the moment. Sorry, sixth rider on the course at the moment, continuing to push, but not in a top 5 position at the moment. And very indicative of the pace going through, of the times being put in by these riders. And today, as they've made their way through, it really has been the case that Golden Light definitely losing time on the riders in front. Now a long way back on Faber, Fura, Brogan, Sanchez, and Brummel. The top 5 riders well clear. This is our leaders, though, and this is going to be the end of the next sector. This has taken us from the 19k marker right the way to 24k. It's taking us out of the jungle. These 3 riders are going to set that fastest time by a long way. I think at the moment they've got nearly a minute now on Sanchez and Brummel. Let's see how fast they've covered that distance. So the Spartan obstacles either end with Fura taking an 8-minute 22.978. 0.595 behind was Faye Faber, and 0.923 behind the first rider, the fastest rider through that sector was Gemma Brogan. But remember, Fura and Brogan teammates on that Spartan obstacles team, a team that know how to win, and a little bit more even in terms of the watts per kilo, but the watts down there. And Brogan, I think, potentially one of the lighter riders of the 3. And definitely keeping that down. That heart rate is very low, though, compared to the other 2. 164 for Fura, 159 for Faber, but down in the 131s for Brogan now. Next 2 riders coming up to the checkpoint. What time are they going to score? I think they will have lost time on this 5k sector. How much time did they lose in that 5-kilometer section? They lost 23 seconds. So a good 23 seconds slower through that 5k than our leaders, but still with minutes to spare on the chasers behind. Brummel and Sanchez are working really well together. And if you look at the teams up there, Spartan Obstacles with 2 in first and third, Strong Girls in second and fourth, but it's a Strong Girls team who are really setting their market out for the team competition. The Spartan Obstacles will be ruining the fact that they don't have a third teammate in there, because this would really would have mixed things up. So top 5 riders in, we're going to have a little wait. So let's jump back in. We're in with the action with Faye Faber, and Faye at the moment leading the riders in and through. And she has that gap at 23 seconds lost just in those 5K alone, and the gap now over 1 minute to Sanchez and Brummel, nearly 4 minutes back to the rider in 6th place, with 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th sitting between 6 and 8 minutes behind. Meanwhile, the ascent upwards, ever ascending Fiona Schroeder on her way up, a bit like an Escher drawing, I think, for Schroeder, just working her way through. She's gone past Mandana on her way through. She's taken Wilhelm. Is the next target in front, in fact. So it looks like this is going to be really interesting to watch this continue. The gaps in front, though, are getting well, they're big. There's no other word for it. They're coming down as Schroeder continues to push, but it is a big ask when you come from the back of the pack right up to the front. 36 set off and already right up there. So the teammates continue to push onwards. However, that work is really going to be taking its toll on Fiona Schroeder at the moment. Meanwhile, Faye Faber up in front. Remember, Schroeder working hard for that strong girls team, as is Mandana, and she should be the third counter. But coming from 21st place, these are two riders with 21st and 23rd position. These riders are the teammates of the riders who are up in the break. So the great work is being done up at the front. Their teammate Faber and the teammate Lisa Brummel doing a good job at the front. These two riders have to make it count, though, because they've got to push as far up as they can. 4 riders in this team, all 4 riders in the Strong Girls team riding really strongly. All of the riders in the top 23, 23rd at the moment for Mandana. Fiona sitting in 21st, Lisa sitting in 4th place at the moment, with potentially 4th or 5th because she's sitting in a duo. And then we have, of course, Faber in the mix for the win. And it could be first, it could be third, but going to be a good time. And they could be in the running for the team here, the Strong Girls team. The challenge from CM2 and from Las Colombianas, really the only teams that can challenge the 2 riders from the Spartan Obstacles who are in the leading mix, Brogan and Fura. Well, they have unfortunately not got enough riders in there to challenge that team order. And interesting to see, we've got the riders really are continuing to push. The chase is on behind, but the leaders, Brogan doing a bit of a turn on the front. Schroeder still working hard. That gap is coming down. It's tumbling to the other riders, but Brogan looks like she's starting to do turns with Fura and Faber as they make the way along. This is a very, very different course to both weeks previously. So we see Schroeder come through now. Schroeder should set a good time on these 5K. The time to beat is an 8:22, if I remember correctly. And that means she's really going to have to work hard because Faber, her teammate Fura and Brogan are all absolutely motoring. They've got the gap on Sanchez and Brummel now at 1 minute 18 to 1 minute 20, just depending on where it fluctuates to. Faber again back on the front, really is putting the hammer down and setting out her stall. What would have happened last week if she'd been able to go off with the leaders? Well, she's making up for it today. Is it revenge day for Faber? She'll be looking for top spot. The 3 riders should be taking it out in a 3-up sprint. Nobody has snapped so far. Faber has been the rider who has been pulling on the end of the elastic, but Brogan and Fura have responded. And now with limited gradients between here and the finish, this is going to be very interesting. We're at 27.7K. We're into that last sector. Our next sector comes up at 28K. So a couple of 100 meters, and you just see Faber approaching the start of sector number 7, another of our 5K sectors. But remember, we finish at 35K. So this sector will take us to within 2K of the finish, and nobody now should be distanced. There are very few opportunities to break clear on the uphill sections. We are essentially just steadily climbing until we get in to 24.5 24.5k. We have a slight drop down 24.5k, climb back up again, but now from 26.4k all the way to 32.2. We have virtually nothing in this. It is a real steady away section. It is realistically only the last sector, the last couple of K that climbs and then flattens for the last 200 meters. So one more climb to go. It's a tiny little one at the end. Who's it going to suit? Will it be Faber? Will it be Fuhrer? Will it be Brogan? Those are the three leaders. Sanchez and Brummel still on the chase behind. The dynamics of the MyWhoosh really is favouring the three in front. Numbers count. The more people to share the work, the more people to go out in the wind. And I think Faber at the moment with two people, that makes a difference. The chasers behind. Brummel and Sanchez approaching, and look at the difference in the distance. 27.9 for the chasers, 28.7 for the leaders. So 7, if not 800 meters between them. It doesn't sound a lot, but it's well over that minute marker now between group 1 on the left of your screen and group number 2 behind. You can see that the castle towers, they're coming into wars on both screens. That gap is it's not enough to allow you any kind of time to make a mistake. 700 meters or so at the moment. So not enough time to finesse, not enough time to muck about very much. However, enough time to have a little bit of thought. 1 minute 11 for Brummel and Sanchez behind our race leaders, Brogan, Faber and Fuhrer. So Faber and Fuhrer and Brogan, the three leaders going through with Faber, 151 beats a minute, 89 revs per minute. We're just seeing that pick up a little bit up to 91. That continues to ascend at the moment. And that is the heart rate that we're seeing go up as well, 152 now, as they're working on this section. It's a slight downhill. It's not particularly hard, but what is hard is that you've got three riders. Every single one of them will want to take that win. The rider Faber also looking to take away the team win. Her teammate Schroeder chasing behind. She's going to be the third counter in the team at the moment. Sandwiched in between the teammates Brummel is on the road with Sanchez. However, the three leaders have the gap. Faber working well, then Brummel, then Schroeder. Brummel now on our screen's left-hand side. You can just see continuing to push and not wanting to let this gap get too big. We're coming up to just over 51 minutes of racing now. So that time is ticking onwards with 35k in total to cover. The leaders now heading to that 30k marker, 29.2 on the clock for the chasers. Schroeder sitting at just over the 20k. So the distance is well spread out here on MyWhoosh. Here, the qualification race at number 3. So riding in with Gemma Brogan, Catherine Fuhrer and Faye Faber in the lead left of your screen. These three are riders with a gap to the chasers behind Lisa Brummel and Jenny Sanchez. Brummel, the teammate of Faber, sat with Sanchez, who's riding as an individual rider, but doing an amazing job once again. All these riders absolutely powering the way through this course, which started incredibly hard behind the rider who was with them for a long time. Golden Light is in 6th place. However, that 6th place is going to be a tough one to defend with the chasers behind, including some very talented riders trying to close that gap down. But Golden Light is currently 7th place on the leaderboard. The Queen of the Jungle, Laura Laconas, the rider who we know can put in a great performance when it goes uphill, has taken 2 seconds out. So it looks like Golden Light losing a good 2 seconds to Conus behind. Conus with company, though, with Jojo Bauer, with Barragan, with Common, all working. But 3 riders chasing down Golden Light, Conus, Bauer and Barragan. They are the riders who could see Golden Light. It's substantial time, 2 minutes 20 at the moment. However, time disappears when you're on these fast sections of road and you have a group chasing you down. It's a horrible feeling. It doesn't matter whether you're on an esports riding platform or whether you are on the track or when you're out on the road and you know they're coming behind you. And that is what Golden Light has to fight off now. It's going to be about getting that great performance in and, of course, finishing to qualify for next week's final. So our riders all are wondering where next week's final is going to be. What's the course going to be like? Who will it suit? Who's got the power? Remember, the winner of round number 1 and 2, Elizabeth Van Heuling, sitting out this qualification round, having done what she needed to do to go through into the finals next week. Faye Faber, who had a technical issue last ride, now up in the leading group this time around with Catherine Fura, with Gemma Brogan together. Of these riders last time on this course, the 1-2 on the course was Catherine Fura taking the win with Gemma Brogan taking second place. All that done with Fura just breaking clear, taking the win by about 1.5 seconds from Brogan. Brogan taking the sprint from Corvedo. Then it was Brummel, followed by Gonzalez Rua, Faye Faber, then Lydia Adeline, Rebecca Dallimore, Leslie Ann Cordera and Elodie Reynard rounding out the top 10. And it does show you that certain courses definitely suit certain people. At the moment, Catherine Fura maybe remembering that how good that was. They've just got a little bit of a gap opening on Faye Faber behind, and Brogan and Fura maybe now think they've got enough of a gap. They can try and work to open that up. We're going to take a little bit of a look. Schroeder behind is working hard. I wonder what's happened to Faber at the moment. Faber was right on the rivet and giving them a hard time. So here she comes, just being distanced a little bit. That heart rate down at 140 at the moment. Faber's a watts per kilo at 2 watts per kilo. She needs to chase. She cannot give away 7 seconds to riders of the class of Fura and Brogan. We're at 32.2k, and Faye Faber needs to get this wound up. Remember, Fura took the win last time on here. Brogan was in second place. They are identical in terms of placing this time around, and Faye Faber has got a gap. It looks to me like this climb up here just starting to kick in. We're at 32.2k. This goes uphill for 2.6 kilometers. This is a decent long drag. Has Faye Faber just been getting a breather, getting a little bit of a rest to be able to attack these two leaders, Fura and Brogan? They go uphill now for 2k. Then it's going to level. The last 200 meters are almost flat as Fura and Brogan, the two riders who are teammates, the two Spartan obstacle riders, have that gap on Faye Faber. Faye's going to be leading home what should be the winning team, but she is now giving a time limit to over 100 meters between first and third place. So it's Fura with a slight gap on Brogan. The gap has opened to Faber, and I don't think this is going to come back unless Faber can pull something spectacular out of the bag. The race at the front between Brogan and Fura, though, is much closer. And this is the point at which the two teammates are going to be thinking, what have I done? Do I go hard here? Do I take this on my own? Do we stay together a little bit longer? This is 33 kilometers in the bank. They've got another 2K to get to the finish line. And this is where we're going to see what that gap is. Remember, Faber, Brogan and Fura came into this sector together. Fura and Brogan come through in 8:46.845 and 8:46.386 for Fura. They entered that sector together with Faber. Now Faber is coming up to the line. The two leaders are back together again at the front of the race, but Faye Faber now has lost a substantial amount of time in this sector. She's going to be coming up and pushing onwards. It's 33k done for her. She goes through the line that time. It appears up on your screen. The Strong Girls rider comes through 40 seconds down. It took her 40 seconds longer to do that. She was in exactly the same place and the same start time. So 40 seconds being given away. Our two leaders, Fura and Brogan. That was a 1-2 last time on this course. Faber on this course got 6th last time. She's currently in 3rd place. These are our two leaders, and the time is ticking down. 33.5k for the leaders behind. Really interesting to see Sanchez and Brummel have gone through 10 seconds faster than Fura and Brogan and 51 seconds quicker than Faber. Well, we thought that gap was big enough for Faber and Brogan and Fura not to have to worry. I don't think Fura and Brogan need to, but Faber needs to be careful. Jenny Sanchez and Lisa Brummel coming through. They have the fastest time so far, and that is going to put Faber under pressure behind to retain that top 3 position. But Fura and Brogan are two leaders out on course and heading in towards that finish line. They are now coming in towards that last kilometre, and they have the gap. Now, Sanchez, Brummel, and Faber are the riders, and it looks to me like Faber has popped. Sanchez and Brummel have gone past, so it is now Fura and Brogan being chased by Sanchez and Brummel, and Faber can see the two riders in front. They've gone. Faber's gone down to 5th place, and now she had a great fast start to her ride. So we can just see Sanchez and Brummel kicking on here, trying to open the gap on Sanchez. Faber is behind our two leaders into the final 800 meters here. Remember, it is only the last 200 that this is going to go level once again. So that climb coming up for the leaders, the chasers trying to close the gap down. It's 47 seconds between them. They're not going to get back to our leaders, and our leaders know that time is running out to make a move. Catherine Fura on the front. So here we go, the run for the finish. Catherine Fura won here last time from Brogan. She managed to get 2 seconds gap on her. She's putting the pressure on, and Brogan is behind. Catherine Fura with the gap to a teammate Brogan. This is where the team orders go out of the window. This is where it's about being the fastest rider in your team. Fura up at 4.3. Brogan tries to answer, but Fura is starting to open the gap to her teammate. This is for the win. Here, qualification round number 3. They're going to be the fastest two riders in to the finish, but who is going to take this? Brogan is closing on the heels of Fura. They're coming back together again. 300 meters to go. Is Brogan going to go straight over the top? She takes a little bit of a breather there, and now Brogan goes on the front, but Fura answers her again. It levels off. We've got 200 meters to go. There's nothing to choose between these two riders. Brogan comes up on the shoulder of Fura. So it's Fura with the white helmet, Brogan with the yellow helmet and the yellow bike. The finish line is in sight, and Brogan opens up first. 11 watts per kilo, nearly 12 watts per kilo. But Fura's got 14 in the tank. She's got nitrox in it. Here she goes. It is a win for Catherine Fura from Gemma Brogan. Amazing time coming in and through the line there. Wow, Fura and Brogan, wild finish there. Fura taking that much closer than last time. It was 2 seconds between them. Last time on this course, 0.365 of a second between them. 2 Spartan obstacles in. Now, who is going to come in behind the two teammates? Who's going to take a 3rd place? Fura's taking the win. Brogan takes 2nd place. Will it be Sanchez or Brummel who are going to come through to take the 3rd and 4th places? Here we go into that run for the finish here. They're side by side here. Brummel's just about in front. Sanchez now squeezes. Brummel responds, and I think that's just gone to Brummel. I'll go to a photo. Here we go. The clock's giving us that result. It is a Brummel from Sanchez. You can see the riders dying there. So it is a Fura from Brogan, from Brummel, from Sanchez. They are the 1, 2, 3, 4. Fura, Brogan, Brummel, and Sanchez coming through with Fura and Brogan in a very close sprint. And again, it was only less than 0.1 of a second between 4th, 3rd, and 4th places. Now, our rider in 5th place on the course, Faber. Long time up in the lead. Absolutely piled the pressure to try and snap Fura and snap Brogan. Couldn't do it and couldn't break them. And they then piled their own pressure back on really winding it up. Faber will come through. Will she beat her position from last time? That was 6th position. She has to hold off Golden Light, who is behind. I think the gap is going to be bigger, and Faber making progress again, chasing from the back of the group through towards front last time. This time staying with that front group until the final few kilometers. So Faber will be the rider who should come through to take 5th place. Golden Light is chasing behind Faber, but I think the gap is sufficient for Faber to stay clear as they come in towards the finish. So we have that full finishing climb. The distance between them is in the 700 meters or so marker. Behind then, Rosalina Berrigan are working hard to try and close the gap down. Faber, well, she can see the finish line coming, and that's going to be a welcome sight for Faber. Remember, our riders who have ridden 2 qualifying events or more will be moving on to our finale of this block of 4 races, our finals coming up next week on Sunday. Make sure you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel, and then you'll be notified as soon as we go live, not just with coverage of the Sunday race team, but some great videos, everything from how to personalize your avatar as to how to log on, lots of the graphics, lots of great detail on there as well, great insights into the UAE team as well, because of course MyWhoosh, one of the key sponsors. And we've got lots more action, including hopefully Faber back in action once again. Faye goes through to take 5th place for the Strong Girls team, with Spartan Obstacles and the Strong Girls team now finishing 2 riders. However, Spartan Obstacles only 2 riders in the mix. So our first 5 riders in and done. 1 hour 57 seconds on the clock for our winner. 1 hour 57 for 2nd place. It was separated by 0.365 of a second, next to nothing. It was literally about the width of a tyre on a sprint finish as they came in and through. Then it was Brummel from Sanchez, and Brummel wanting to get that time right down. Sanchez, another good ride from her, really setting the marker out. And Faber coming in to take 5th place. Golden Light, 2nd place last time round in qualification round number 2. Now it's going to be Golden Light coming through time, taking the 6th place. Remember, all of our riders making the way into the finish. If you want to see where everybody finishes, make sure that you go to mywhoosh.com, click onto the results. When they are verified, then they will go from unofficial to official. Make sure that you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel, ready for next week's finals. Our winners today: Catherine Fura with Gemma Brogan in 2nd place. Don't forget the big prize money race coming up next week. And that is when we are going to see who's going to take away individual titles and taking away those team titles. So from myself, Matt Pay, from the team, and everyone at MyWhoosh, thank you so much for watching. Ashufkum, ala khair.